Beginning your search, using the search strategy worksheet to plan a search using keywords. This is video 1 for the search module basic.
The following slides will advance on their own, but feel free to pause or rewind as many times as you need. In the Ask module video 2, we learned about why key concepts are important to our search and how to identify them. If you haven't watched that video yet, you might like to go back and watch it now. In this video, we're going to learn how to begin our search by completing the search strategy worksheet. We are now at step 2 of the evidence-based nursing practice process, searching the evidence. Using the search strategy worksheet, we will enter the question, the database or resource name that we will be searching, our key concepts based on the question, and our keywords based on those concepts. We'll be working from the same practice scenario we used in the Ask module. You can pause this video now to take your time to read the scenario, or you can print it out from the module and have it at your side while you watch the rest of the video. We're going to use search questions that were contained within the clinical practice scenario we just saw. So what is the search strategy worksheet anyway? The worksheet is a form that helps you to organize your thoughts and plan your search. I've helped a lot of people over the years troubleshooting their searches, and I have discovered that most problems occur because of lack of planning. That does not mean that you have to follow your plan exactly. Searching is an iterative process, and you'll learn as you go and make changes along the way. In fact, you may even change your question along the way. This is a normal part of the process and does not mean you have made a mistake. The most important thing to remember is that it's important to have a plan, but not necessarily to follow it. Even expert searchers need a good plan. Your plan is also your backup in case the database crashed while you are searching. You'll need one worksheet per question per resource that you would like to search. This means that if you have one question and you want to search 3 databases, you'll need 3 worksheets. This is because each database works differently, and that means you need to have a different plan for each of them. You'll find a link to download the worksheet on the Readings and Resources page of this module, and you'll probably also find it on pretty much every other guide that I've created for you. Here's what the worksheet looks like. You'll notice that at the top there are instructions for how to use it. So if you want to remember the things that I'm telling you about in this video, you can always look at those steps as a reminder. In this video, I'm going to show you how to complete the top portion of the worksheet, and then in the search module intermediate video, I'm going to show you how to fill out the bottom part. So here we are on the search module basic, and to find the worksheet you're going to go to Readings and Resources, and you'll see that there's a link to the sheet right here. You'll also find it on the page where video 1 is. There you go. Now when you click on that, you're going to see a PDF open, but it's not fillable yet. In order for it to become a fillable PDF, you need to click here, Open with a different viewer. and you're going to say that you want to open it. You can also save it and print it, but right now we're going to open it. And here we are. Now you can see that if you want to type something, you can. Okay, now that we know what the worksheet looks like and where to find it, we're going to go back to our question. Now, we formulated this therapy question from our practice scenario and already identified our key concepts in the Ask module. So we're going to use this question as our example now. We're going to begin by typing in our question into the field called search question. So our question for today is, in recurrent urinary tract infections, are probiotics an effective treatment? Feel free to pause this video now and print out or open up a worksheet of your own, and so you can follow along what we're doing here. The next thing we're going to do is type in the name of the database we plan on searching. So for this video, we're going to use Scopus as the first database that we're going to be searching, so we write that in right there. The next thing we want to do is figure out what our concepts are and type them into these spaces down here. So for this question, we have recurrent, that's one concept. We've got urinary tract infections, and you'll see that the text gets smaller when you're typing in longer things. We've got probiotics, and we've got treatment. The next thing we want to do is start filling in the keyword fields here, and you're going to be looking for words that match your concepts. But let's talk about keywords before we go any further, because it's important to understand what they really are and how useful they are. So keywords, or what we sometimes call text words, are natural language words you can use to search most databases and resources. Usually these are words we imagine that the authors may have used to describe their research. Searching with keywords is a quick and flexible way to start exploratory searches, much like you search Google. It's possible that different authors may have used slightly different words to describe the same thing, so you may want to drop a list of words or phrases that are related to each concept in your search question. You'll need to think about variations in spelling, different synonyms. When you're searching using keywords in a database or a search engine, usually what's happening is that you're looking for those words anywhere in the item record and only sometimes in the full text of the article. When you're searching using keywords in a database or a search engine, usually what's happening is that you're looking for those words anywhere in the item record and only sometimes in the full text of the article. So let's see what that means. What is the item record? Let's say we've done a search. This is in Scopus here, and you found something that looks promising. An article that's talking about maybe using probiotics to treat urinary tract infection. So what is being searched when you're using keywords? We're going to open that record in a new tab. And here we are. And you'll see that the words that we use to do the search are highlighted. So this is where the database is searching. It's mostly going to be in the abstract, in the title, and maybe You might find it in some other fields, such as the journal title or the institution, but usually it's the title and the abstract. So keep that in mind when you're using keywords, that you're not actually, so if you opened the PDF, it's not going to search that whole article. It's only going to be searching the part that's actually displayed here in the database before you go to the full text. Now, you don't want to go too crazy and think of a list of 15 different ways to say one thing, but it's important to know that there are different ways of saying the same thing. And so here, for example, when you're searching for cancer, you'll see that first of all, you may have the singular version or the plural version, and you might also have some different words that are used to describe things that are cancer. And so when you're searching, you may want to try using these other words in order to increase the number of results you get. Now, before you go straight to the database and start typing in different keywords, remember that you should in fact be first writing them down in your worksheet, because you need to create a plan before you start searching. Something to keep in mind about keywords is that your search will find any record that includes those words, and that means that using them can also bring you results that are not relevant, articles that are not relevant. Sometimes authors say in the abstract that they're not going to be talking about probiotics, but they are going to be talking about cranberry. So using the word probiotics will actually get you an article that is not about probiotics. When you're searching, it's important to always go down and scroll through your results to see what you're retrieving. You can make a decision about which things are in fact relevant and which not. So having a few articles that are not relevant is not a big problem. But if you find that most of the articles are not relevant, that's when you may wish to go back to your keywords and try a different one. Okay, so let's go back to our search strategy worksheet and we can start putting in some keywords that match our concepts. So here we have recurrent. We can use the word recurrent. It's okay to repeat the word if you're in fact going to use that word as a keyword. But then we can also say recurrence. And remember to spell it properly. Or recurring. And then here we have urinary. Spell it properly. Tract infections. Databases don't always check your spelling, so just be aware of that. Then we have probiotics, and then we have treatment. Now you can also use some different words for treatment. Therapy is a word that's often used to mean treatment, so we're going to put that in there. You may want to try the acronym or the abbreviation, but just keep in mind that may in fact bring up other things that use the same acronym or abbreviation, so just be sure that it's not something very common that may bring you a lot of irrelevant results. Okay, so let's try a second example. We formulated this prevention question from our practice scenario and identified our key concepts in the Ask module. And we're going to use this as our second example now. Since we're going to plan our search for a second question, we're going to use another search strategy worksheet. So again, you would have clicked on the link in one of the guides, and then in order to see the fillable version of the PDF, you need to open it with your favorite reader. In my case, it's Adobe Acrobat, that's the default. And so now it's open and we could see that we're able to fill in the fields, and we're going to put in our search question. Now again, the next thing we do here is we type in our database, and this time we're going to search Google Scholar because that's another one of the resources that you're going to learn to search in this module. And then once again we have to fill in our concepts. So in this case we've got cranberry juice, and we've got urinary tract infection again. This time we're preventing, we're not treating. And we're also specifically asking about women. Now, you can enter women as a concept, but in some databases you can also apply a limit to your final results. That's what etc. means, is that also sometimes the sex of the person can be used there, and you'll see more about that at a later date. For now we're going to leave it here, and then of course you want to type in your keywords. Now sometimes there's only one way to say a thing, so you don't need to rack your brain for a second way of saying cranberry juice. And that's okay if you only use that one. Prevent, prevention, preventing, and then women. Maybe you could put females. Again, don't rack your brain for 100 ways to say the same thing. You just need at least one keyword for each one of your concepts. Now you may have noticed that the words or and are on the worksheet, and so those are not there by accident. They're actually really important, and they tell you how to combine your terms when you conduct your search. So in your database search, using and retrieves articles that include all of your search terms across a row. So for example, you would be searching for articles that have the words cranberry juice and prevention and UTI and women. On the other hand, or retrieves records that contained at least one of your search terms down a column. So for example, you would be looking for articles that use the word prevent or prevention or preventing. We call these Boolean operators. Now you'll notice that Boolean operators are usually listed as and, or, and not. So what does not do? Not retrieves records that contain your first term but exclude your second term. So for example, women, not children. Now, that sounds great, but actually we do not recommend that you use not in your searches, because doing so you may exclude relevant results. What happens if there's an article that talks about women and children? By using not, you would remove that article, even though you may still be interested in reading it. Of course, not all databases or search engines allow you to use Boolean logic, but most of them are using it behind the scenes. Many just put an automatic and between the keywords you type in. For the resources in this module, only Scopus lets you use Boolean, although Google Scholar does use the automatic and behind the scenes. So when you're in Scopus, for example, you can just type in recurrent UTI probiotics treatment, as you're used to doing in Google. But if you want to get really have a little bit more control over what you're doing, what you would do is type in the first thing and then click on the plus here, and you'll see here you have that option of saying and. So you could say and probiotics and urinary tract infection. Now, why we do it this way is because then we could say or recurring, and we could say or UTI. So that's how you can bring in your other options for keywords for each of the concepts. You'll learn more about searching Scopus and Google Scholar by watching the other videos on this module. Yay, congratulations! You've now learned how to complete the search strategy worksheet, the top portion, which you will use to plan your searches in databases or sources that you can search using keywords. And if you complete the search module intermediate, which I recommend, you'll learn more about using and or in other databases, and also how to fill in the bottom portion of the worksheet. Now that you know how to do it, please remember to complete your worksheet before meeting with the librarian. And if you do need help, don't hesitate to register for a library clinic or book an appointment with your liaison librarian. And you can do both from the nursing subject guide or your specific course guides or the modules.